Hi, Robert. I don't know if you're going to get this message or not, but I'm going to attach it to the petition and put a link to the video. I know you're getting a lot of signatures. I don't know if you are interested in all the comments people are putting and reading them all and collecting all the comments or not, because, you know, there's a lot, although not everybody bothers to leave a comment who signs it. So I just want to say this because I think it's really, really, really important, and I'd like to kind of get the matter resolved. I've got a dispute with 38 Degrees at the moment over various ways they run the website. And on change.org, whenever I did petitions, it never gave the email addresses. And I argued with them that they've been withholding the actual email addresses and only giving the postcodes, names and signatures when you download the file and hand it into the council. Maybe they've changed it and maybe you get the emails now. But at the time, they were trying to say it's data protection, but the thing is, when you are the creator of the petition in law, you have got the rights to the data that you're collecting. They have got to safeguard your data for you, not keep your data from you. Now, I don't know if 38 Degrees have been updating the website. I'm not sure about change.org. So make sure you try and get the signatures from them. A lot of councils have been still accepting petitions without the signatures on. I'm sorry, I mean without the email address, which is the full contact, whether it's electronic contact or the actual address. You need a form of contact for verification purposes. These councils have still been accepting petitions, but really, it's meant to have an address on for purposes of verification, or the authority that you're petitioning are meant to have the data so they can properly check it, not just the postcode. That it's because the thing is, if you look at this act here that I've put the link to, right? I want to talk about this because this is the local authorities referendums, petitions, England regulations 2011. Now, if there are any more, if anyone knows of any other act, then show me it, because I ain't found it. I ain't seen any other act. I don't think there is one. The right to petition goes by the 1688 Bill of Rights, the right to petition, and you can't be held to any commitments, right? You can't be held to any commitments, and the reason for that is that if you read studies like Professor Karen Bowie's study in the Glasgow University paper that she's done, petitioning is a legal action. It is legal proceedings. And it is actually, in law, it is legal proceedings no less than a criminal prosecution case or a civil lawsuit. It is equal to or greater than that, and it should never be regarded as anything less than a legal case proceedings. It had the Master of Lord of the Articles. It had magistrates and a grand jury involved in it, and they were trying to charge people money at one point, prosecuting people and various other things, and they put a stop to all that. Also trying to restrict the number of people signing it, and having to check through certain processes. They scrapped all that, and also the Tumultuous Petitioning Act 1661 is very significant because that was abolished in 1986, and you're not meant to be held to any commitments at all, and that includes vetting of petitions, because they were cheating basically and trying to put loads of they were trying to basically manipulate the system, and it got banned. And you've got the right to petition without being held to any commitments and collect the signatures and so forth and have the case heard for anything you want. And if that council can't do what you want, then they've got to send it to the department of the government that can, whether it's regional or national. Another thing that you need to know is this. When you're petitioning the king, it's the authority of the mace, and all councils have a mace, and it's the same. It's meant to just be the same mace, although it can't. You can't have one mace, can't be everywhere at once, but it's the same thing. It's the same object, duplicated. It's the same authority and power of the king of the realm of England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales. And it is by that power, the right to petition the king, that every subject has the right to petition the king about anything in England, and it gets sent to that local area. Now, the thing with these local referendums, right, this act is a procedure and set of rules for having local referendums and doing petitions. Now, if you're looking for how to get a local referendum, then this would be it. It's the procedure for local referendums. Now, the ironic thing about this act is that it's talking about petitioning for the framework of the council. It's the framework for local petitions for changing the framework of the council. But, why would you petition about one thing? The whole point of petitioning is petitioning about what you want. You don't have a petition about one thing. It would be ridiculous. You can petition about any subject that you are concerned about. So to say that you'd be held to a commitment to petition only about the framework of the council, when you're looking for the framework for petitioning for a referendum, this is it. I really don't think there's another act. If I'm wrong on that, then show me where it is, right? But this is 2011. Now, petitioning the government, there aren't really any acts or rules. The Parliament Petitions Committee come up with their standards, but really that's just, standards aren't rules and they're not laws either. And I don't think that they can hold you to any so-called standards, according to what I've read. The thing is, right, that 2011, this act was made. Petitioning local councils is a very powerful thing to do, particularly when the areas, smaller signatures are needed to get things done. When the corporate entities started to get their teeth into the councils, when the corporate contractors started to really, rather than it being the local council highways department and these big companies started taking the contracts like Care and so forth, they literally started taking over the councils, and strategic planning departments, everything that's done is strategic planning, which is the political parties mainly and the contractors who started buying everything up. Everything that gets put on the table and proposed. How often does a member of the public or Joe Bloggs go to the council and put a big project on the table? Who's got the money in the land and the development, other than, people building houses or doing extensions or whatever? Not many. Only corporate highways, agencies, big development companies, who are all really, really in with the council and development. Hardly any members of the public, and they've got a lot of profits at stake. We don't really get to design anything or plan anything anymore. Now, what would be something that really could stop those people from achieving those highways planning, development objectives and strategy planning that they seem to control, and the police as well, by the way, because they get to put their bollards and cameras and everything in there with the meetings as well that they fancy? What would really stop them is local petitions. Now, the thing is, the local petition, the actual official petitioning websites on local councils, they've all got you don't have to use change.org or 38 degrees. The local councils petitioning websites are very awkward to use and very hard to sign and difficult to share, very hindering to get signatures. And also, another thing that would really, really stop these corporate entities in their tracks would be local referendums. Well, we know we can have referendums because we have them over Europe, and they exist locally because this is it here. Now, the people could use this a lot because local areas don't need a great deal number of signatures compared to petitioning Parliament. Now, this really would be a powerful tool to stop these corporate entities. And the thing is, you could use it all the time, and you could literally just like put a brick wall there and stop them from doing anything if you wanted to. This really would be a major disaster for the Labour Party or Tories and these companies, big companies, because they wouldn't be able to do whatever they wanted just with money, not with what the people want. Well, and this is not to do with local elections. This is like a specific thing. You know, this matter, this road or this tree or this hill fort or this thing, not just electing people to represent you, you know, for everything, particular things, right? Now, if you wanted to really hide something or cover it up under the carpet, what you would do is you would try and conceal or hide the fact that you can have a local referendum, or if it's obvious that you can have one, make it look like that, you know, it's for something else or only for, you know, changing the mayor or something stupid like that, when you've got the right to petition over any subject. Well, I hereby claim that I haven't found any other act for local, I've seen elections acts, not for petitions or referendums. I don't think there is any. If there is, I'd like to see Shropshire Council, Legal Department, pull it out of the back pocket and show me where it is, because it don't fucking exist, I don't think. This is it. This is the procedure and framework for having local petitions and referendums. And it would be insane and stupid to say that you could only ever have petitions or referendum over one subject when you've got the right to petition His Majesty's government over any subject. The power of that mace in that chamber is the same mace that's in Parliament. It's just referred to a local area because that is the area of concern, whether you live there or not. So I strongly believe that this framework can be used for petitioning the local council over anything. And it says you can amalgamate any petitions over the same subject or matter together. They can be combined. That's people with evidence or facts or signatures which are over similar or the same subjects, right? So, or asking for the same thing. So I strongly believe that this is the act and it can be used. And I also think this act should be being used to block the Stonehenge tunnel as well, because they've got over 200,000 signatures in Wiltshire as well, which it got debated in Parliament, yet you only need like 26,500 or something signatures in Wiltshire for a local referendum, yet they over had 200,000 signatures, which really would have let the people of Wiltshire vote to say they don't want Stonehenge Tunnel if they wanted to vote that way. Now, another thing. So just going back to these figures again, right, Robert McBride, if you are reading your comments on your petition, I know that I think that you've probably already got enough signatures to stop that road now already. And, you know, the council probably could vote in favour of your petition anyway. But, and this is the big but, even if you hand this petition into the council with, when I just checked now, the last time I looked, your petition had 14,005 signatures, and it's getting at least 1,000 a day, which is very, very popular. That's amazing. So, on 14,000 signatures is a hell of a lot more than the 8,000 they even got for Old Oswestry Hill Fort. And I think that Old Oswestry Hill Fort one I'm sure that one had enough for a local referendum. Maybe not, I don't know. But I'm not too sure how Shropshire breaks down the electorate areas, but I know for the police chief referendum, it was 300,000, and that was only 33%. But I think the Shropshire Police must cover a particular area which is bigger than the Shropshire area. I think it goes into some other counties. Now, this is the thing, right? I think it would be, I know you want to save this tree, and you would just like the council to say, right, okay, you've got, all these signatures, so, we're not going to build the roads. That would be amazing. But there's something we really, really need to do, which is we need to make a case for this country and for everyone in the whole country, in local areas, who is having problems with things like this. Because I strongly believe that there is a right to local referendums and that they are trying to hide it and cover it up and brush it under the carpet. And also, if you look at the Wiltshire Council petitions, hold on. So look, for people who don't know, right, the right to petition is the right of the subjects to petition the king, and all commitments and prosecutions for such petitioning are illegal. They can't hold you to any commitments, which is to try charge you for petitioning or vet them or whatever, right? Or say you can't petition about this or that. You can petition about whatever you want or whatever the council has the capabilities and capacity to do, right? That's the law. That is the statute law, which any other acts must be compatible with and based on and around, right? Most of the acts basically are just there for validation and checking purposes, most of the acts. Now, about the actual petitions, right? This is what Wiltshire Council say on their petition site. They say that the council recognises that petitions are one way in which people can let us know their concerns. Well, actually, it's not letting you know your concern. It is a legal action. It is a legal case. It is legal proceedings, no less than a criminal prosecution, no less than a civil lawsuit. It is a legal proceedings from the people to the government. Not just one way. And welcomes petitions from anyone who lives, works, so if you work there doesn't mean that you live there, studies in Wiltshire, or who uses the services provided by the council. Well, anyone in England can use the services by the council, or even an American tourist. If you're going through Wiltshire near the toilet and you go into the toilet to take a pee, you're using the facilities, and if they're broken, you might have to make a complaint about the toilet. If you like Stonehenge and go every year, you might be from Kent, but you can petition to save it, particularly if you're a subject of the realm, because after all, you aren't petitioning Wiltshire Council, you aren't petitioning Richard Cluer or Bob Hinkins or Joseph Wallacey or John Hancock. You're petitioning King Charles, and you are a subject of King Charles, and the matter which you are raising to him is referred to the particular area of which it concerns. That has got nothing to do with whether you live there or not, right? That is how it works. This is confirmed by Wiltshire Council. Effectively, it is the right, privilege, or interest. Now, if you don't have an interest in North Wales, you are unlikely going to sign any petitions in North Wales or know of any or even go there. As soon as there is an interest, there is a will, there is a way. As you pass through North Wales and are urged to take a pee in the toilet, you are using the facilities and have an interest in the facilities. You also have a right to use those facilities, and if there's anything wrong with them, you have a right to complain about those facilities to the king. because it's his chamber and his council, right? That is how it sits in the law, period, right? Now, the thing about local referendums is this, that an actual referendum is something. A referendum itself is the process of asking every single person who lives in an area what their opinion is on something and then counting the answers. So everyone who lives in the area, their opinion will be counted in a referendum, right? If you think of it like a torch, when you get a torch with all those LEDs, not like the one bulb torch, but all those like multi-LED torches, when they've got loads and loads of bulbs on the torch, right? Not just like one bulb in the middle. When you turn the torch on, all the bulbs light up together, like the whole torch is made out of a load of bulbs, right? On, off. That's like a local referendum. But who's pushing the button? Whose thumb is pushing the button to ask the torch, the LED lights, what their opinion is? Someone's asking them. Someone's triggering their opinion, right? Now, who has the right to pick up the torch and push the button? Right? I'm like, you know, one person can pick up the torch and push the button. Now, the thing is, a petition isn't the referendum, because you're petitioning for the referendum, which is the process of every single person being asked officially. To get the referendum, you can ask for one. So the petition is asking for a referendum. It's not the referendum. So anyone in England can petition the king for whatever they want, including a referendum. Right? So all of the people in England can ask, effectively, the people in Wiltshire to have a referendum. Right? Now, the Act, this is when we get into the Act that I showed you, right? This Act. Now, this Act here is a process for obtaining a referendum, right? It's a process for obtaining a referendum. And it says that to be able to ask for a referendum, you need 5% of equal to an electorate. Because that shows that it's a very large number. An entire electorate is all the people in the area. 5% of them is a certain number that says, okay, 5% of all these people is a big number, right? It just shows importance. It shows a concern. It shows a large, great concern. That's what it does. It's evidence of concern. You will see that principle in law, in acts of law, in the Inquiries Act 2005, for example. In order for a minister to initiate an inquiry or believe there should be an inquiry, it must appear to him. By how would it appear in front of him? You can petition him for it. Someone can hand him a petition with a lot of signatures. It should appear to the minister that there is either, and this is the first part 1, A and B, either evidence to show that there is a reason to have such an inquiry, or B, evidence of great public concern. The public want an inquiry, which would be a lot of signatures, right? So it's just a number of evidence of public concern. So your petition signatures are evidence of public concern. You can have a petition actioned purely with one signature and a very, very strong case, because as we said, it's a legal case like a criminal prosecution or a civil lawsuit. You can have one witness or you can have 100 witnesses. or you can have, you know, a load of fingerprints or a load of photographs or whatever, a strong case, facts, truth. You know, get a professional professor to write something or an environmentalist or whatever. The weight of the case doesn't always rely on signatures or evidence. And that is evident in the Inquiries Act, Part 1, A and B. And that effectively is what we're doing with petitioning. It is the same thing through each act of law and through the whole procedure. And that is, I'm not wrong on that. It's just fact. It's logic, and you need to have intellect to be able to understand that that is the truth, correct, right, and legally sound basis, right? Now, the thing is, so with this act here, it's saying that 5% of an electorate is a big number. It's basically a lot of concern. So to match, to get this number is eligible. They think that it's a sound number for triggering, obtaining a local referendum, right? So the act effectively is saying, and it doesn't actually say that. It doesn't say that explicitly that they have to live in the area at all. And we can see that on the Wiltshire Council website. The Wiltshire Council website say that you don't actually have to live in the area to petition the council. So that would actually prove my theory of being correct, unless Wiltshire Council are publishing fraudulent statements, right? Now, let's go back to the numbers, right? Now, Robert McBride started this petition very recently, and it's very, very popular, probably because of that Hadrian's Wall tree getting cut down. And, you know, Shropshire does good for petitions like Old Oswestry Hillfort got 8,000 and so forth. Now, the police figures for the elections are different, but I've checked the population for Shropshire, and it's saying, according to Google, the entire population of Shropshire, I don't know how they divide it with the council, you might be able to get it based solely on the smaller local area that it is, even on a referendum in a ward. There is also a legal case. There's a legal argument that you could get a referendum in your local ward from your local councillor. Like if you've got 3,000 people in a village, 5% of 3,000, and the people in the village could even have a referendum and block a highway coming through without even having to go to the whole county. There's a case for that as well. But let's do it by this act, because this act is talking about the framework of the council or big important matters for the county. They can't. It's impossible for them to say you can only petition about one thing, one subject. They just can't do it. You can't even make a law up for that. To try and make a law up that you could only petition about one subject is illegal. Now, it's saying that 319,189 people live in Shropshire, right? So if we go by that number, 5% of that is 15,960. That is your 5% number of Shropshire people who live in Shropshire. 15,960. I don't know if that is the same boundary as the voting area, but to me that looks about right as a number, because our electorate here, our 5% is 25,000 or something, and Wiltshire's is 26,500. We've got quite big counties. Shropshire is a very, very, very large area, but there's a lot of countryside there. Now, as of today, when I looked, this petition has got 14,005 signatures, and it's getting at least 1,000 a day, right? So this petition that Robert McBride has started recently is only 1,960 signatures away from having over 15,960. Right? Now, a lot of those people will be in Shropshire, but not everyone. But I believe that a lot of people signing it will be British citizens of England, Ireland, Scotland or Wales, His Majesty's government. And if that is the case, we all have the right to petition His Majesty's government in Shropshire with that mace in that chamber, because it's our right, because that is the department of which the matter we're complaining about concerns, the legal case. It's a legal case. Now, the thing is, we're bringing a legal case to Shropshire Council to save a tree. Now, this is the thing. If you're speeding in Shropshire, you still go to court in Shropshire. If you knock somebody's, if you, damage someone's, spill a drink on someone's jacket in Shropshire and he takes you to court, you can take you to the small claims court in Northampton or in Shropshire. Still a legal case. Now, as far as I'm concerned, petitioning Shropshire Council is just like going to court in Shropshire, because that is the county to which the matter concerns. And, they don't say you can't be prosecuted for headbutting someone in Kent if you're from Yorkshire, because that's the county that deals with the case, right? If you get me? So, I strongly believe that in another couple of days, Robert McBride will have matched the figure of 5% of the electorate of Shropshire, right? And I believe there is a legal right to a referendum to compel Shropshire Council to hold a local referendum over that road and tree. Now, they might just have a council meeting and say, well, there's enough signatures, we're just going to not build the road then. But the thing is, I want to see this procedure used because it exists. You can have local referendums, just like we had a referendum on Europe, a national referendum. They exist. You can have them. And they don't have them. They're having one in Atlanta at the moment, trying to stop a big police station being built, and they're having a lot of trouble with it, and the council are trying to cheat them out of it. I think that this is big and huge, because I think that in 2011, when the Act was written, you're getting into the, corporate, around that Gordon Brown government era when he sold all the gold off, 2010, 2011. Gordon Brown sells all the gold off. They're getting into that contracting thing, strategic planning on the council, contracting, Balfour beat me, big companies, plans on the table, McDonald's drive-thrus, big plans, big profits. They don't want John Paul, Ringo or whoever popping up into the council with a couple of scraps of paper, chucking it on the table and saying, I've got some signatures, the people are going to decide on this, not the councillors. Because then the corporate, the business as usual in the council is not business as usual. It's not business. It's actually the people saying, actually, we're not having this, Now, they might be able to get a decision anyway on their petition without having a referendum. But the thing is, if the councillors vote on it and they don't have a referendum of the people, it's the councillors making the decision, not the people. It's the councillors making the decision, and they made the decision in the first place to go ahead with the road project. How did it even get proposed and drafted? Someone wanted it, and more than that, they wanted it, and it got quite far. So, would you want the vote to go back to them again? We need to start overriding these muppets in the councils, because I'm sick of them. We need to start overriding them, going above these councillors, above these corporate interests, above these Balfour Beat Me executives, these care traffic people who are, care sounds like Keir Starmer, care traffic sounds like Keir Starmer. It's almost like someone set it up. What shall I call my son? Oh, we'll call him Samantha. No, that's a girl's name, we can't call him Samantha. Oh, what should we call this company? Oh, Care. Oh, yes, that's a good name. We've got a young up-and-coming Crown prosecutor called Keir. I think he's going to be the next Labour leader. It's all planned out. We'll have the same name. It'll strengthen the morale behind the men, behind the workers. This is it. There should be a local referendum to prove that you can have it, and it exists, and they've been trying to hide it. And I think they've been trying to hide it in the Act, and they've been to construe the Act. And the thing is, that Stonehenge Tunnel petition should have a Wiltshire referendum. And I would like to raise awareness of local referendums, particularly in respect of that Stonehenge petition as well, but also for this one, and all other counties who are having problems with local councils. Now, the thing is, I think that according to the law, and Wiltshire Council don't disagree on their website to what I've just showed you earlier, anyone in England, if you can get them interested in something, and if they care about it, or if they use it or like it, they suddenly have an interest. And they've not only got an interest, they're a British citizen, and they've got a right and a privilege. And you can get people from around England to make up your 5%, and it can compel the county to vote on the matter above the council. That means that if you get a lot of people in England who really like trees, 100,000 people who really like trees, you've got yourself effectively like a political party, like a tree party, because they can go around and start signing a lot of petitions compelling local councils to hold referendums over saving trees, particularly when highways are bulldozing through them. And they can do that as often as they want, because you've effectively formed a tree party with a hell of a lot of people supporting it, and they carry a lot of weight. Now, if you've got 15,000 people in such a group who will sign regularly for things like this, the weight of those people is enough weight to call for referendums in Wiltshire, compel referendums in Shropshire. But it's not enough to compel a referendum in West Yorkshire or Wiltshire. Why? Because 15,690 is only enough to match 5% of Shropshire. You see, West Yorkshire or Wiltshire have got a larger electorate, which is 5%, is bigger number. So you need more people to match it, according to the Act, if we're going by the Act. So you would need about 30,000 people behind you. And then there are even bigger counties like London. Now, London is a smaller area with massive millions of people. So even if you had yourself a nice little Facebook group or a political party with 100,000 people who are rare and ready with the pen to sign, you could start, getting referendums in Wiltshire and West Yorkshire over things that they have an interest in protecting and preserving, or at least make the local people vote on it above the council, by the way. That's the main part of it. But then again, if you look at London, a group of 100,000 people probably isn't enough people to compel, if they sign petitions in London, to force the people into referendums, because there's too many people. You'd need even more. But once you get up to... So what you're looking at is, what is the biggest what is the highest electorate in England? What county has got the highest electorate in voting? And it's probably one of the London areas. What is it, like 1 million or something? So if you get a group of people who are equal in number to 5% of the electorate area that has the most number of people, then you can say, right, now we've got some voting power, some petition power, because we've got enough people to trigger a referendum when we come together in any county that we want. So then, if this particular group of people you got, it's all about trees, they like and love trees. Like, we love trees, we like trees, we love trees, we like trees. In England, all England, then you're talking then, because that's like better than the Green Party. Because then, you don't even need to get into government, because this group of people are seriously concerned about trees, and you don't want to mess with them, because they can start signing things and compel any local council to have a referendum and override its councillors when it comes to trees. That's what you want if you like trees. Every time there's a tree under threat by a local council, these people will say, right, well, you will make your local people vote on it, not the council chamber. And that is, I think, why in 2011, and they made the act under the Gordon Brown gold bar selling off government, why local referendums are extremely powerful. But do you know what the most powerful thing about it is? The councillors don't decide. The money doesn't decide. The gold bars don't decide. Gordon Brown's gold bars don't decide. Rishi Sunak's pound notes don't decide. The money of the contractors on the table doesn't decide. Here's a suitcase of money, £100,000, £200,000, £1 million, a £50 billion road project. Here's the suitcase, here's the model, here's the nice model of the highway of the new town hall on the table with the architect. Let's pay him £500,000. They don't decide. The people with the bits of paper decide, and no, it's not a local election. This is overriding the council chamber decision on a particular matter. And then what you find is these contractors, these Balfour Beat Me companies, these care companies, these Barry Shearmans, these Keir Starmer powerhouses, these Boris Johnsons don't actually decide. The money doesn't decide. The suitcase of pound notes doesn't decide. The gold bars that Gordon Brown sold off to these companies doesn't decide. The people decide themselves. And that is why I think that act was, let's say, subtly dressed in its terminology when it was written. And I still think that it is the act of the framework for obtaining local referendums. And it's impossible to say that you can only have a referendum over one thing. So, this petition probably, it's a lot of signatures for a local area, and, the council probably might uphold it anyway. But I would like, for the sake of England, for the sake of every county in England, for the sake of everyone who likes trees and countryside and who's facing similar problems, I would like to see the referendum go ahead, just to prove we can have it, and just to prove that Stonehenge Tunnel should have it and can have it. And then if there are any other incidents like this in the future, they can also have them, because I think that it's something they've been trying to disguise, hide, cover up, because then they're in control. Their corporate entities are in control. The strategic planning's in control. The police chief's in control with his security cameras and his committee meetings. And I'll have 16 bollards, 5 security cameras. I'll have facial recognition. I'll have a raising bollard on the hill fort. Oh, will you, police chief? In my council meeting. Oh, look, here is the councillors and the police chief in our little secret private meeting with Balfour Beatty. We decide what goes on on in this county, you know. Oh, it's the police chief. I'll have five gold rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and I'll sign it here, stamped by the chief. Oh, have what you want, chief. Have what you want. I'll polish your boots if you want, sir. Can I have all those bars of gold that Gordon Brown sold off? Where are they? Where are the serial numbers? Can you tell me where they are? Can you isolate every single bar of gold that was sold off by the government? I'm interested to know where it is. You know, has Balfour Beatty got some of it? Has Kerr got some of it? Has Boris Johnson got a couple of them in his vault? You know, I'd like to know where that gold is. You know, the people are meant to be the gold, the signatures of the people, like on this petition, 14,005 signatures. So this is my evidence and statement, which is attached to this petition, which I've got a right to attach evidence. I've got a right to attach a statement. Don't know if anyone's going to read it or not. I don't know how many people are putting comments on there. There's probably a lot of comments on there. I don't know whether the council read them all, but this is what I'd like to see happen, because it's about time we proved that we can have them and we should be having them. And, you know, that's what we pay as taxpayer money for things like that. You know, in America, they're voting all the time. They're voting on they don't just vote for police chiefs, they vote for attorney generals. They elect all these people, you know, and they're still having trouble. They're actually having a referendum in America, but it's different. It's slightly different because they've got the states, the United States of America. But in England, it's the realm, you know, and that Wiltshire Council webpage confirms what I'm saying by it is a right, privilege and interest, you know. So here are the figures. These are the figures. I'm going to put the figures. I'm going to put the video. This is my opinion. I've already put this. I've already mentioned it. But I wanted to speak. You know, I want Robert McBride to get a local referendum from Shropshire Council over this matter, and I want to prove that we can have one. And not only that we can have one, that other people can have one as well on things, and that it is not the council who make all the decisions all the time, that the people can decide on these things. You know, local people, particularly when it comes to things like Stonehenge Tunnel as well, you know.